All right. I hope you guys can hear me. I know you can see me a little better now. Um, just sending a message right now. And okay. So, going to try this again. It's a little bit clearer picture. Uh, I'm hoping you can all hear me. Um, so, last night we did the live feed for Paranormal Warehouse. It was I would say, success. It was a successful feed. Um, I'm going to YouTube tonight only because Facebook, for some reason, down. Instagram's down. I haven't tried Twitter, and I don't. You know, Twitter's live feeds aren't bad. Larry and I've actually done some live stuff on Twitter, but I like YouTube much better. So, hey Fred, hey Melissa, good. You guys can hear me. Twitter's up. Well, now that I'm here, I'm just gonna stay here. I think. Um, hey Ashley. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is actually talk a little bit about a video that Larry and I shot that I thought he would have released by now, but he doesn't yet. So, we shot a video up at Wadham's Grove, which is a Black Hawk War site, and it is part of the Kellogg's Grove. I don't know how to say it. It's about 10 or 12 miles from Kellogg's Grove, but everybody from Wadham's Grove and Kellogg's Grove were buried there together. Larry's, and I'm assuming, as Ghost Hunter Dan Norvell. So, anyway, Larry, why is that Wadham's Grove video not up? This is what I'm talking about, guys. Anyway, no, I know Larry's had things going on today. He's had a hard time today. Luke, let your sister in. Hurry up. He's on his way. So anyhow, Larry will be putting the video up, and one of the cool things about this particular video, well, the real Dan, please stand up. I'm not typing anything, so it's got to be Larry because Larry and I are the only ones who can be on the YouTube channel. So.
Okay, real quick, sorry, I thought you were. Is it okay if I go to Taco Bell with Logan because he's still hungry?
What is this?
It was at our door. I don't know.
Only if you come and say hi to everybody who's on my live feed right now.
Yeah, I look like trash, but that's fine.
This is my daughter, Lexi.
I've definitely been on before.
She has been on with us before. I love her. Oh, there's my son, Lucas. Luke has his own YouTube channel. All right, you guys are both bothering me. Get out of here.
All right, I'm leaving. Oh.
And she fell on her rear end. Love you. You did that on purpose.
No, I definitely didn't. You pushed me.
I didn't push you.
Yeah, you did.
Did you guys see me push her?
You definitely pushed me.
So,
Yeah,
thank you, Fred. They are pretty awesome. Lexi actually has abilities herself. She's been to a couple different spots with me. I would say Lexi is probably more psychic than sensitive. Lex, you want to pop on here with me and tell them what you experience when you go out there? So,
what do you mean? How do you want
okay, so when we go out and you communicate with spirits, can you see them?
Yeah.
Can you hear them?
Yeah.
Can you feel if they are feeling bad or things like that? Mm-hmm. I don't want you to try channeling them though.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, well, if you don't know what it is, then don't do it. Right? All you guys who are psychic or sensitive. But Lexi actually she did not go to the Roadhouse, but Lexi went to Mary Jane's graveside with me. And she saw Mary Jane.
It was kind of cool, actually, because when we did go, I saw a girl, standing right behind her grave with short brown hair. And just for my own, personal confirmation, since I'm, still new at, doing this and figuring out my abilities. For my own confirmation, I did Google a picture of her, and I swear to God, that is the exact girl I saw standing there. So it was kind of just for me to know that, like, I actually did see her. But yep, short, shoulder length, brown hair, and I Googled it, same girl.
So,
yeah.
Now what's really cool about Lexi saying that is Melissa, who's in chat, you were saying, okay, Melissa says, was she wearing dark pants and a light color top? We were there about 3 weeks ago. Lexi doesn't remember what I said to her 10 minutes ago, Melissa. So,
I don't really know. I can't remember what she was wearing. I want to say she was wearing like a white top, but I don't really remember the pants.
But what's really cool, Melissa, is what Lexi did say is that Mary Jane is very happy with what Mike's doing. Mm-hmm. And she really appreciates what Mike's doing for her a lot. Now, compared to some of you guys who are psychic or sensitive, Lexi was standing right there. I mean, we were literally 6 feet above Mary Jane's remains. And so she's going to get a better read than you are from where you are, Melissa, or Ashley, or anybody else. You did say she was happy where she was at, that she is a spirit. She comes back and visits, so she can come and go as she pleases. She's not stuck here. And that's a good thing. Correct in saying that. Mm-hmm. So, and she told Lexi she wasn't stuck here. And she said she appreciates us.
No, especially because it did take like a minute for me to even feel like that her presence was there when we went. Because initially she wasn't really there. And then just all of a sudden she kind of just, boom, she was there.
She heard me talking, or both of us talking, and she came to see what was going on. So, you know, all I can do is take my daughter's word for it. Melissa says, do you get the feeling that she feels safe with Mike?
Yeah, she definitely isn't like threatened by him or anything. I mean, she has no reason to be.
So I kind of wanted to pull her on here, Melissa, just to confirm what you were talking about last night. So all right, go, daughter. Bye.
Bye.
Be careful, guys.
Of course.
Logan, put a coat on. It's cold out still. Anyway.
Baseball.
Oh.
Before.
Well, just be careful, guys.
Of course.
So anyway, Lexi does love to go ghost hunting with me. However, she is going to be leaving in the fall for the University of Minnesota. I'm very proud of her. And that will just leave Lucas in the nest. So trust me, Daddy's not real thrilled about sending daughter 10 hours away, but she's a big girl now. It's going to actually probably be harder on me than her. So anyway, that's what's really cool about Mary Jane. Tessa actually felt Mary Jane and had a conversation at the gravesite as well. Sorry, guys, my arm is itching right there. So Tessa actually had a conversation with Mary Jane at the gravesite, and Tessa pretty much felt the same thing that Melissa and Lexi were feeling too, that Mary Jane is not stuck here. So to me, out of all of the tragedy that happened to this poor girl, at least she's not a ghost that is bound here, stuck here. She comes back and visits. And like Lexi said, when we first pulled up and we walked out to the gravesite, I said, do you feel anything or anybody here? She goes, there's somebody kind of standing behind the statue looking at us, kind of wondering what we're doing here. She said, not mean or anything, but then within a couple minutes, all of a sudden she goes, okay, Dad, she's here. So that was really cool. So anyway, the new video that's coming out, we will be revisiting, before I go on to the new video thing, we will be revisiting the Mary Jane story a few more times. We've actually got a few surprises coming up for you guys. We are going to be returning to the Roadhouse on, Larry, help me, April 3rd. And that's when we're actually shooting our Expedition Entity episode. So we'll probably be there longer that night than we were last night. So anyway, This Friday, we'll be returning to Camp Grant. We'll probably pop on live real quick. Well, that's if everything's back up. We'll probably pop on live really quick from Camp Grant, give you guys a quick tour, and then that's going to be shot for Expedition Entity as well. So that's not going to be a live feed. I'm not going to put up a static cam. We are there to get business done and let the spirits rest. Camp Grant, the command post restaurant is what it's called now. Used to be the mess hall for Camp Grant, and that's where the whole camp went to have their meals. And it's not really super big. There are spirits there. It is very haunted, but it's probably something that just, probably just going to be me and Larry and Andrew, or me and Larry and Tessa, or if no one else can go, it might just end up being me and Larry. And that's okay. It's very small. It's very quaint. Beautiful, beautiful place. It's almost like a museum, just like the Vets Hall. There's a lot of memorabilia in there, a lot of really, really cool stuff. However, it's very small to have my whole team in there. So if everybody is able to go and show up, we're literally going to have people sit outside in their car and have people go in two at a time, because otherwise there's going to be nothing but contamination. So, hi, Mauricio. So, we'll do our best, but we definitely want to make Camp Grant an episode of Expedition Entity. So, I don't think we're going to have any problems catching anything there. We did when we had, Larry, we had a group of like 50 people in there with Haunted Rockford, and things were going wild. So I'm really looking forward to it. So now getting to the video. Larry's going to be releasing a video here in just a few minutes, and this is a video that Larry and I shot. Okay, it's up now, and it's called Wadham's Grove. Now, Wadham's Grove, there was actually 2 battles at Wadham's Grove and 2 battles at Kellogg's Grove. Everyone that it is HD, so it's uploading now. It might take a few minutes, guys. But everybody who was killed at Wadham's Grove and Kellogg's Grove is buried in the monument at Kellogg's Grove. Now, the new Expedition Entity of Kellogg's Grove will be out this Friday on Paranormal Warehouse. So be looking for that episode. That's the one where, if you watched our Expedition Entity trailer, where you hear me go, I just heard somebody say fire. That's one of the pieces of evidence we caught up there. And what's really cool about that video clip, and it is in that episode of Expedition Entity, is Larry was in the military. I've been through the police academy. When you're on the firing line, it sounded just like they say, make ready, take aim, fire. And that's exactly what Larry and I both recognized it was an order to fire right off the bat. So, Larry, do you agree with that? Guess I should have called you Coaches, and we should have both popped down here and let you run this thing, because it looks a lot better when we're both here, but that's okay. Anyway, so everything we've done has been put around Wadham's Grove, or around Kellogg's Grove. Larry and I actually traveled to Wadham's Grove. Now, Larry's saying St. Vrain's Massacre was May 24th. The first battle of Kellogg's Grove, so battle number 1, was June 16th. The first battle of Wadham's Grove was June 18th. Oh, my birthday. The second battle of Kellogg's Grove was June 25th. And then I think Wadham's Grove only had the one battle. I think there might have been, now, there were probably many skirmishes between here and, you're at the end of June. The Battle of Bad Axe was August 3rd and 4th. So you had a month. So there's probably a lot of little skirmishes that happen, a lot of little clashes that were never considered battles. And for some reason, once they moved into Wisconsin, other than the Battle of Wisconsin Heights and the Battle of Bad Axe, which basically ended the war, the United States military just basically drove the Indians into the Mississippi River and fired at will and exterminated them, for lack of a better term. Black Hawk slipped away. It was just him and a couple other of his band were able to get out of there. And now one thing that I want to mention about this Wadhams Grove video that's coming out is Larry and I, we didn't get a whole lot of responses. I mean, we could hear things going, but you guys aren't going to be able to hear just but a couple of responses because it was very windy that day. Larry actually made a joke this afternoon when we were talking about it and said, well, if we weren't trying to record in a tornado, it would have been a lot better. Now we're going to go back. We're going to go back in April and see what we can catch, and hopefully it will not be windy that day. We're going to go back to Kellogg's Grove and to Wadhams Grove. Because I think it's important that we do that because of our book. And those are some last minute things I want to catch. This book is going to our publisher June 1st. And if there's any last pieces of evidence that I can catch from Wadhams Grove, Kellogg's Grove, the battleground in Stillman Valley, Stillman's Hill, the gathering site, Indian Creek Massacre, which really isn't directly connected to the Black Hawk War, but as a result of the Black Hawk War. Actually, when the Indians at the Indian Creek Massacre took those two girls hostage and pretty much killed everybody else in the settlement, they actually ransomed the two girls off to the American forces. And they kind of said, well, we're doing this because of the way you're treating Chief Blackhawk. And let me rephrase that. Blackhawk was not a chief. He was a war chief. He was never a chief. But they kind of said, we did this because of what you're doing to Blackhawk. But really it wasn't. It was because the settlers had dammed up Indian Creek and were trying to irrigate their crops. And when the Indians asked them, you're taking our water, you're taking our fishing, the settlers pretty much said, too bad. So the Black Hawk War kicked off. The news of that traveled around, and the Indians said, you know what? This is a perfect excuse to go up and just kill every one of them. And that's exactly what they did. So Indian Creek Massacre site's going to be probably in our book from what Larry and I are thinking. But we're going to make very clear, we will share the history of it. We will share the information of it, and we'll share what we caught at Indian Creek. But it is not a direct battle of the Black Hawk War. It is a battle that happened as a result of the Black Hawk War. The Black Hawk War kicked off, and the Indians down there decided, you know what, if Black Hawk can do it, we can just say that we're doing it in response to him and go massacre these guys and get our justice. And it does have the tie-in because those Indians actually did take those girls to the Winnebagos, and Black Hawk actually did come in possession of those girls and then basically ransomed them off. So to the American forces, where any one of the Indian forces could have killed those two girls at any time, the Hall girls. So now I did actually read one of the accounts of the Hall girls, and they were treated very well by all the Indians. Even the ones that captured them that night, they did not treat them badly. They did think that they were going to be killed, from day to day, but they were never treated badly. They were never, tortured, beaten, anything like that. So, anyway, so this Wadhams Grove video, the commanding officer was Colonel, right, Larry? Colonel John Dement. And he was actually the commanding officer on those battlegrounds. Now, when Larry and I go to Wadhams Grove, you can hear me ask, who? Major John Dement. Okay. For some reason, Colonel did not sound right to me, Larry. That's why I asked you. I think you're right, Major John Demmett. Bottom line is, we asked who the commanding officer is, battalion commander. I asked who's the commanding officer, and it says pretty clearly, Demmett. That does a lot of things for us, guys. Number one, we got that answer on a ghost box. That brings credence to the SB7, that we are actually getting answers that make sense to the questions we're asking. You know, how many AM stations that we're scanning backwards are going to say the name Demmett? I mean, it is coincidental, big coincidence at that. If I ask a question, all of a sudden it says Demmett, and it's correct. It also means that there's an intelligent haunt up there. Somebody is hanging around the Wadhams Grove battleground and letting us know that, you know, whoever's there is aware of who the commanding officer was, and he's answering me. This isn't a residual thing. It would have to be an intelligent haunt to give me a straight answer like that. Now, some of the pictures that we've caught, we did catch a picture, what looks like a Native American moving through the forest up there. Larry, have you ever posted that? If not, we should probably get that picture up, because I know I did send it to you. What we do, guys, is Larry has much better software than I do, and I actually message him the picture or email it to him, and then he pulls it and does the brightening that way. I mean, I will if it's clear cut, but the one where the Native American, where you and I are standing at Kellogg's Grove, and we actually took it with the UV camera, and you can actually see the Native American warrior peering through the woods. It's like he's coming out of the woods and taking a look at us. I may have to go back and just post it myself, Larry. No, I know I sent it to you. And I know we discussed it, and you may have posted. I just don't remember seeing it anywhere, but it is a great piece of evidence. The video is only about 5 minutes long. I know I tried to go on live on Facebook and it didn't work out. That's why I'm here. So I did. I know that we tried to, or that we had talked about it. I don't know if we had posted it as a picture of interest or not. I'll go back and look. But you know, Larry and I have things with the team to button up. We have an investigation Friday the 15th. We have an investigation Wednesday the 20th. We have another speaking engagement coming up in April. Then I go on call. Larry and I are both, I'm taking my family out of town for spring break. Larry is going to Las Vegas for spring break. So these next 2 months are going to be pretty busy, and we have to have the book turned into the publisher as of June 1st. So it's going to be, it's coming down to the end game here. And any amount of evidence that we can catch to add to the book, not that we don't have enough now, because we've caught amazing things at the battleground. We've caught amazing things at the gathering site. We've caught a couple responses at Stillman's Hill since we found it. We've caught awesome stuff at Kellogg's Grove, now Wadhams Grove. We did go to Apple River Canyon Fort. Caught absolutely nothing there. Now, there was a confirmed death of one of the settlers that was defending the fort against Black Hawk's forces. That doesn't mean he's going to hang around there. You know, just because he was killed there doesn't mean they're going to stay there. And we absolutely had, I mean, every single test that Larry and I tried to do there was a big nothing. And that's cool. I mean, you know, not all battlegrounds are going to be haunted. It wasn't really, it was a battle during the Black Hawk War, but it wasn't really a battleground. You know, like I said, one of the settlers did die defending the fort, but he could have crossed over and said, I don't need to go back and visit there. That's, my family was okay, whatever the reason is, whatever. I can tell you guys right now that if I died for some strange reason and I realize that I died, I'm not going to go haunting, places that, yeah, I'm not going to hang around. Let's say I got in a car accident. I'm not going to hang around that accident site if I know I'm dead. I'm going to go haunt Larry and try to give him some evidence, or I'm going to go and say hi to Ashley, or I'm going to go, I'm going to go and say hi to somebody who can hear me if I'm going to waste my time doing that. Otherwise, I'm going to try to cross over and go to where I hope I'm going. Jordan Goldsmith Sr. says Rockford. You mean Rockford, Illinois? Yes, we're very close to Rockford, Illinois. So, which most of the Blackhawk sites are, within driving distance, other than, well, it'd take about 4 hours for us to get to Bad Axe from Rockford because it's just south of La Crosse. There's really no good way to get there. We could take the Great River Road. That would probably be just as direct as anything else. And I think when Larry and I do go up there this summer, or this fall, we will probably go over to Savannah, Illinois, grab the Great River Road, and just drive it right on up. So, Ashley says, please do. Well, I'm not planning on dying anytime soon, guys. So, all I'm saying is Larry gets first crack. If I die, I'm going to him first. So, but I might visit a few of you and try to give you some evidence. And if I can muster up the energy, I'll say, this is Ghost Hunter Dad. Ashley goes, obviously. Well, now I'm here to tell y'all right now, whoever's still watching, not only am I going to haunt Larry and give him evidence, but I am going to pick on him through and through as much as I can. I'm going to move his shit. I'm going to drop the toilet lid. Larry, you might as well know right now, the biggest thing that I could do that would be the funniest is walk in while you're taking a leak and drop the toilet lid and make you piss all over the toilet. I think that would be absolutely hilarious. So, be expecting things like that, Larry. I will probably turn your underwear drawer inside out. I will probably, what else? I'll flicker the lights all night long. I'll just pick a night and just sit there and click, 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 just to keep you awake. I will make you want to exorcise me in some way, shape, or form, or cleanse me out of your house. Turnabout's fair play. So, Andrew says, I'm not sure if it's part of the war itself, but I'm pretty sure Wisconsin Dells area has some history. They did move through there, Andrew, but I want to say it was actually the American forces that went through the Dells versus Blackhawk. Blackhawk, Wisconsin Heights is near Madison, and then they made a beeline towards the Mississippi, and then they tried to go north and cross so that they could actually go south back on Indian land at the time and not be without fear of being chased down and massacred. So Jordan says Camp Grant is haunted. Yeah, we have been there, Jordan, and I totally agree with you. It is haunted. Ashley says stack up on Sage now, Larry. Fred from Spirit Recon says, damn, Larry, last week you're worth 600K, now this. It doesn't matter what he's worth, Fred. If I die, I am going to haunt the hell out of Larry, and I'm going to give him his evidence, but there's going to be a price, and the price is going to be my laughter and the afterlife at him. So, if I could pull a ghost mugging Larry, I would do that. Although I don't know what money would be worth to me as a ghost, but I would still mug you. So, yeah, I'm being a little silly, guys. Last night was a great investigation, but with everything that we've been doing and everything we've got coming up, I just got to blow off a little steam. So just kind of bear with me. as you guys could see, after 3 hours of a live feed, I was getting a bit silly last night. And guys, in this business, you got to stop and think about something about if maybe not everybody in here is all ghost hunters, like Ashley, like Fred, like Larry, myself. The thing is, guys, is you need to stop and think. We all focus on death, and we all focus on tragedy. And when I was a paramedic, and I was a paramedic in Chicago for 6 years, so I know all about death and tragedy. Trust me, firsthand, more than I care to even remember. You have to have a sense of humor, and you have to have these kind of outlets, and you have to talk. This is kind of my way of blowing off steam and talking to you guys, talking with you guys, interacting with you guys, and that's what keeps me on an even keel with all this. So, Adam Lemaire says, have you ever did any sessions around famous murder sites in and around Rockford, like the Simon Nelson home, Joey Didier murder site? Adam, I don't even know where the Joey Didier murder site is. I would more than happily go over there and do a ghost box session if it was accessible. The Simon Nelson murder, the home where Simon Nelson murdered his 6 children, correct? You can't get in there. They don't want anything to do with ghost hunters. I actually was contacted from Ghost Lab, and I actually got the names. I got the names of the realtors at the time of the Simon Nelson house down off of. I think we're talking about the same thing. The guy who bludgeoned his 6 kids to death, correct? Put them in touch with the people from Ghost Lab, the Kling brothers. I was actually in contact with Steve Hawk, and they don't want any part of it. They're having anybody who buys that house leaves it because they say it's haunted. But there's nobody that's going to let investigators in there. It's not going to happen. So, Adam says, I think it's Canyon Camp around Apple River, the Didier murder site. Okay. And then the other one, yes. So you're talking about, I think it was Simon Peter Nelson, correct? Am I saying that correctly? I know the house you're talking about. It's over off Harlem. Well, it's not Harlem Boulevard. It's actually across Auburn. Harlem Boulevard goes up that way. And then I forget what the street is, but I know exactly where you're talking about, Adam. I've been in front of there. My partner Rob and I from the Small Town Paranormal days took a picture and actually caught what we thought was an image of a girl in the window. He had 4 daughters and 2 sons or something like that. Or I know he had daughters, and it looked to me like it was a girl in the window. There's no doubt in my mind the house is haunted as all hell. This man bludgeoned his 6 children to death there. You just can't get in. Like I said, if they're not going to let Ghost Lab in, that has a TV show and could actually, probably the Discovery Network at the time could have probably kicked money their way to make it worth their time to let them in. They're not going to let somebody who has nothing to offer in. So, I would love to, Adam. You got any Haunted Rockford site? I mean, Kathy Kressel and Haunted Rockford do a very good job at. Kathy and Sarah have investigated many of the murder sites in Rockford. If Kathy ever asks me, we have went on stuff with Kathy, and if asked in the future, absolutely. If I ever get the chance in the future, absolutely, I'll go and investigate those sites. You believe Joey, meaning Joey Didier, was murdered in a small cabin used by camp counselors in Canyon Camp. The actual cabin might not be there anymore. I don't think that would matter so much, Adam, because if the murder happened there and he's hanging around, we should be able to get ghost box responses. The only thing is if he's not hanging around. And like I said, that may be the case. Ashley from Profoundly Paranormal says it's actually incredibly hard to get locations in Texas because no one likes the dark things spoken about. Still strictly part of the Bible Belt, no hoodoo type people. Yes, Ashley. When I was in Texas, I noticed that, except for when I went to the USS Lexington, they were very forward about their ghosts, and they actually have ghost tours there every night. So when I moved to Texas, Ashley, and I moved down to Port Aransas, where I dreamed to retire to, I will only be 25 miles from the Lexington. You can bet your ass that I am going to do everything in my power to try to become part of the staff of the USS Lexington and participate in those ghost hunts. So, yeah, I do too. Port Aransas is awesome. Well, Larry, you won't live far. We'll only be 25 miles from each other. Andrew says, yeah, it's not easy here either. There are quite a few people who do, though, so that's a plus. Ashley says, heck to the yes. You can say hell to the yeah if you want, Ashley. I'm not going to be upset about that. So I think, though, Andrew, that we are much more fortunate up here. It seems like more people are open up here because we're not so much in the Bible Belt. I know that my sister, when she was doing Small Town Oklahoma, and my friend Lynn from Every Second Paranormal, she lived in Enid, Oklahoma. Julie was in Tulsa. It was hard to get locations in Oklahoma because they're also right in that. Larry, don't even start. Oh my God, I can't believe you just said you're a beautiful man. I'm not even going to discuss it. Beautiful man. So if you want to bring it up, you can let him know in chat. I've already said my piece on the whole thing. So anyway, but yes, Ashley, we are fortunate to have people like Mike at the Roadhouse. We are fortunate to have people like Scott Lewandowski at the Vets Hall. We are fortunate to have Samantha at Tinker. We're very fortunate, 3 very haunted places in the Rockford area, and, lots and lots of opportunities for us to go into those haunted places. Amy and her grandmother out at Camp Grant. They're very, very open to the fact that, yes, their locations are haunted. And yes, as long as the investigators are respectful, they're more than welcome to come there. Ghost Head Soup, great group up here in Northern Illinois. They've done a lot of those locations as well. Chad and Travis from Mission Terror, Greg and Rockford, Greater Rockford Apparition and Ghost Group. They've done many of these locations as well. Travis and Chad have been to Conover Square. They've been to the Vets Hall. They've been to Tinker. They all catch stuff. And, guys, something that Larry said in chat the other night when we were talking about before we went to the Roadhouse, the paranormal used to be very, very territorial. It's like one person sunk their teeth into a location, and every other team that, came around wanting to investigate it, you stay away. This is our stuff. That's really closed-minded thinking. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if I'm to go somewhere and catch evidence, and another team comes in and catches evidence, and another team comes in and catches evidence, doesn't that just solidify what you caught? I mean, it just makes sense. But when I started out, now, remember, guys, my brother and I have been chasing spirits since 1996. I've been chasing spirits since before I met my wife, and I've been married over 22 years. The paranormal didn't used to be like this. It wasn't a mainstream thing. When the paranormal really became mainstream is with the birth of Ghost Hunters on the Sci-Fi Channel, and then social media. When you started having these ghost groups come up, it just exploded. But Larry, as you can agree with me. The early days of the social media, that I consider the paranormal two eras: the before social media and now the after social media. But in the after social media thing, right when you began, you had teams that, Ashley, back 10 years ago, if you would have approached anybody, a few teams would be nice, but probably 80% of them would say, "Go scratch your ass, get out of my face," and that was the truth. Larry, I don't think that I am. I don't think that I'm hyping that. I think I'm pretty much right. Um, we had problems with the team because of Bachelor's Grove. I mean, it's crazy. Uh, you know, I've talked about the Mantino debacle. You know, people were very territorial back then, and it was horrible. Now you have people that. Sorry, guys, I had to adjust here. Now you have people that are willing to work together and build the paranormal as a whole and as a brotherhood, and that's really what it should have been from the get go. And now are we realizing that that's the way that you actually build, you know, building networks and building friends in the field is the best way to grow the field, not, you know, trying to hold every location as your own, which you don't have a right to anyway. And, sitting there and saying that everybody else's evidence is crap and you're the only one who can capture anything. That's very small minded thinking. So, the bottom line is, and I was here to talk about a video, and I've talked about everything but the video except for 3 minutes. So I guess I did get that done. Ashley says, "Well, I'm just glad I reached out to you first." And that's great, and I'm glad you did, Ashley. You've done some really cool stuff. I enjoy watching your stuff, and that's why I back you. So, but the downside is that some of that negativity is still out there, and those are the guys that you just say, "Hey, you know what? Whatever." But the bottom line is there's no right or wrong way to do this. I do cleansings with holy water. Some people do cleansings with sage. Some people do cleansings with crystals, stuff like that. Um, you know, there's no wrong way. As long as the end result is the same, what's the difference? Holy water and sage are going to get the same end result. My sister does sage when she does a cleansing and has had every bit of as success as I have with holy water. Doesn't matter. There's no wrong way of doing this. If you saturate with pictures first and do your video stuff later, if you do your video stuff first and do a saturation afterwards, who am I to say that, maybe kicking up all that activity, maybe there's going to be a spirit around that wants to hang out for a picture after you've, talked to them for hours upon end. There's no right or wrong, guys. So, anywho, Andrew says, yeah, sadly, there's still a lot of that, more than there should be. Andrew's basically repeating my sentiment, or I'm repeating his if it was up before I said what I said. It used to be because of the exclusives and how they get noticed to looking to get famous. Yeah, I mean, and Larry and I've talked about this, and I've said it on live feeds. I would be against going to any network that wants me to create drama with my team or jump at shit that's not there. It's the reason Grant Wilson eventually left Ghost Hunters. Their ratings were going down, and NBC told Jay and Grant, "We want you guys to start creating drama and jumping at shit that's not there." And Grant said, "I'm not going to do that. We have enough evidence to be caught if we do it the right way." And they're saying, "We don't have time to do it the right way. This is the way you do it." And Grant basically said, I'm out then. I'm not going to do it." So, Ashley says, "Just say, eat my turds then." Absolutely. If they don't like it, they can eat my turds. There's no money in it, so there's not a lot of those left. Andrew says, we're doing Expedition Entity, and that's good enough for me to throw it out there. If some network ever wanted to pick it up, great. If it never happens, I really don't care. I'm glad that Paranormal Warehouse is sharing our content. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, it's getting a much bigger reach than it did with just us, and I'm okay with that. Mike and Chris are great guys, and I'm happy to have our content elsewhere than just right with us. So Larry's saying there's definitely no money in it. The paranormal TV fad has started to die out. Ashley says, preach. Andrew says a lot of those findings were faked, at least in the later season. Yes, absolutely, Andrew. Adam says the only paranormal show that is still going strong is Ghost Adventures, but that's pretty much ridiculous. Yes, Zach Bagans is the prime example of how not to conduct an investigation. You know, Adam, I've not seen you on on one of my live feeds on Facebook, and if you have been, sorry, I don't recognize your name, but you are totally correct. It is ridiculous. Would you want somebody to come into your house and say, "Hey, bring that shit to me," and start dropping f-bombs and walking around, flexing your muscles and stuff? No, you wouldn't respond to that. You wouldn't. You'd probably look at him and say, "You know what? Turn around and get the hell out of my house right now." So why would you do it? If you're a human spirit, why would you answer to anybody who's doing that now? Jordan says, if they let you go into the Coronado, would you do it? Absolutely, I would go to the Coronado. I wouldn't even have to give that a second thought, Jordan. So, but it ain't gonna happen. They don't want anybody in the Coronado anymore. Actually, Chad and Travis did get to go to the Coronado when they were still friendly to investigators. They do have a ghost event once a year around Halloween, and they have certain groups that are allowed to participate in that. But as far as doing the Coronado Theater, it's off limits. They don't want your money. They don't want you in there. Period. So, Larry just said we've tried and they're against anyone doing it. Yes. Nobody's going to get in there. So if I could, absolutely, Jordan. I wouldn't even give it a second thought. If I could get into the Coronado, yes, absolutely. We did the Egyptian, which is going to be the last episode of Expedition Entity for the 2018 season that you're going to get to see here in the next couple weeks. And the Egyptian was awesome. And being that the Egyptian was that awesome, I'm sure the Coronado would fall right in there. There's quite a few places in Rockford I'd like to do, Jordan. I'd like to do the Maddox Theater on the Rockford College campus. I would like to spend the night at the Adams Arch. Larry and I've been there. We've got pictures of us there. We've actually done EVPs there. But the only way to get anything concrete is to be there at night. And, Jordan says, I wonder how much money they would take. I don't know. I don't have an endless bank account to offer them anything, Jordan, other than, if I ever got to the Coronado, it'd definitely be an expedition entity. But that's all I could offer them is that, yeah, we will showcase the theater, and, Paranormal Warehouses puts out Expedition Entity. People will see it, but that's all I have to offer. I'm not going to give them money. I would donate money to their theater preservation stuff. But anyway, I would like to do the Maddox. I would like to do the Faust Hotel. Not going to get in there. The Maddox has been investigated by a couple different groups. Very hard to get into. There's a theater out at the Rock Valley College campus that I would like to go and investigate. There is, what else up in Rockford? I would like to spend the night at McCormick's Tomb. I mean, Larry and I have done a video on McCormick's Tomb. Back in the 60s, McCormick's Tomb, the big thing was to go out and knock on the door And I had a friend who was a police officer that was a teenager at the time. He went out and he said he told me, he goes, Dan, I got no reason to lie to you. He goes, I went and knocked on the door and something from inside that tomb knocked back. Now Larry and I've been there twice. We've actually been there more than twice, but we've actually shot 2 videos there of Haunted or Not. We knocked on the door, but we weren't there at night. And I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. But the other side of the coin is this gentleman who told me that he knocked on the door and something knocked back at him. I don't have any reason to not believe him. So let me catch up with chat here. Andrew says the city had taken over at one time and wanted to charge like 20 grand, which was just their way of saying no. Yeah, if you wanted to come up with 20 grand, then I'm not going to do that. Larry says Rockford doesn't sleep at night, sadly. 2 a.m. sirens are very common. Absolutely. Adam, yes, Zach gets possessed almost every episode. Let me just tell you something. There ain't enough room in his body for all the demons that are lurking around. Jordan says people are really scared of that place. Are you talking about the Coronado or someplace else, Jordan? We have all those places in Belvedere too that we have to look into. Yeah, there's a couple places. There's one place in particular that we are going to get to go to. Jordan says Belvedere is a ghost town as well. Yeah, we've actually caught stuff in Belvedere. As a matter of fact, when Larry and I were starting out, we've got EVP sessions with great responses from the Belvedere Cemetery. We did not go into the cemetery. We walked up to where the wrought iron fence was off of, oh gosh, what is it? It's not Menominee. It's the next street up from Menominee. Anyway, we got great responses there. Hey, Randy, what's up? Oddball Creations, Crafts and Creations. That's our good friend, Randy Deacon. So thanks for stopping by, Randy. Jordan says creepy place. Yeah, Belvedere Cemetery. I wasn't really creeped out by it. But cemeteries take on a different era. You know, they take on a different air at night than they do during the day. So, you know, places do become creepier at night. A lot of comments have been made here in the last couple weeks. A video that Larry and I put out, a gentleman said, why are you guys turning out the lights? You can catch that, you know. The reason we turn out the lights is because the IR cameras and stuff can see through the darkness, and some of the spirits might be more comfortable moving around in the darkness. Those are the reasons the lights are out. Now, Larry and I have caught just as much in the broad daylight as we ever have at night. But the world sleeps at night. It's a little quieter at night. So, you know, i.e. the reason we have to have IR and UV, because since the world sleeps at night, we can only really go and catch really good evidence at night. That's why. Otherwise, I mean, Larry and I have done tons of ghost hunting in the daytime, and we've caught tons of stuff, tangible stuff. So, hello, Amanda. Dan says hi too. I can't wait to be back on the air with you two numbskulls. And this is the numbest skull of all right here. Incidentally, our friends that say Oddball Crafts and Creation, we are going back on the air for JP Apocalyptic live on Facebook coming in May. Larry and I are going to be starting our show, Paramania, on the Ghost Hunter Dan Norvell channel on Facebook in April. So be looking for that stuff. So you got that right. Yeah. Well, if you're talking about me being the numbskull, absolutely, Randy. I know I have that correct. So JP Apocalyptic Live, we're going to be talking about conspiracies and zombies and anything and everything you can think of. We'll talk about it. And it's probably not a good kids show, so don't have your kids watching it with you. Paramania, Larry and I are going to talk about cryptids. We're going to talk about different locations worldwide, not just our little neck of the woods. And that's going to be, you know, we're going to talk about different devices. We're going to talk about things that we've done, things that we've seen, things what we want to do, different gadgets in the paranormal that work for us, that don't work for us, different stuff like that. So Paramania is going to be, more of a, and we probably will have some people call in. So Ashley, maybe you can be on Paramania one night with Larry and I. I'll just ask you now. I know that, people, now it's not going to be a talk show per se, but we will have guests from time to time. So Ashley, I want you to be one of those guests because I want to hear about this Bonnie and Clyde site more than just from your videos. I want you to talk about it with us. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to hear about. So kind of like you all wanted to hear about Mary Jane Reed last night, I want to hear Ashley's Bonnie and Clyde stuff because that is intriguing as all hell. So anyway, Ashley says, I can't stand getting that question. You think it only happens at night. It's just easier not to have the right. Absolutely, Ashley. So that's the only reason that we do a lot of stuff at night. Because I'm here to tell you, when we go to the gathering site in the daytime, which I've caught some cool stuff, the airport traffic, and even at night, I mean, the day that I saw the guy walk across the water, 10 minutes later, Larry and I film a jet coming in for a landing because there's a UPS hub there. The gathering site, that area never sleeps. You have Route 2 going up one side of the river. You have Stillman Road coming up the other side, which is on the bridge that we're always at the gathering site. That traffic never dies down, and the airplane traffic is constant. So anyway, Jordan says, any Elvis paranormal activity? I've never seen Elvis. I think they asked Dan Aykroyd that on Ghostbusters. Have you seen Elvis lately? But I would not mind going to Graceland. Larry just popped it in. He wouldn't mind going to Graceland. I would investigate Graceland in a minute. Larry says, Paramania is our version of an Adam Sandler movie. We get to have fun with our friends. And that's what we're going to do. So, Ashley says she went to Graceland when she was younger and saw tons of things. I don't doubt it. Now, Ashley, I want to ask you, are you psychic or when you talk, I'm assuming that you have psychic abilities because you talk about seeing and feeling things. Am I correct in saying that? I've never actually asked you. Okay, you are psychic. Okay. And I thought so. I never formally asked you, so that's why I'm asking you now. So you saw lots of things at Graceland before you learned how to control your gift. It was freaky. Now, our good friend Sandy Wells, who also has psychic abilities, describes it much as you are, Ashley. Before she was able to use her abilities and understand them, it was very freaky for her. So, yeah, Sandy is a cool egg. Her and Russ both are. Love those guys. So, anyway, guys, I've been here for almost an hour. I still have to work out. So I don't look as bad as I did last night. I told Larry, I said, I cannot believe you let me on a live feed with the spare tire. The spare tire is smaller, but it's still there. I'm working on it. I have to now. So got some blood results that I wasn't real happy about. I'm borderline diabetic. But I can control it with exercise and diet. So that is a good thing because I don't have to be taking insulin shots or metformin or anything, as long as I take care of it now. And I am in the process of doing that. So I already told Larry, I told Andrew, it's not a big, it's not like I am going to die from it unless I don't do anything. Then yeah, I could. So I have to, it's 8:30. I got to get my workout in today. Got a couple miles to do on the bike. So I'm going to let you guys go, but I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everybody who stopped by last night at the Paranormal Warehouse live feed. And I'll be back on later tonight. I'm not going to do another live, but I'll be back on. I'm going to post our pictures that we took from last night of me and Andrew and Larry and Mike, and tag those guys in there. So everybody who stopped by, Ashley, Fred, Jordan, Adam, my good man Larry. You tried to get me to go there, Larry, but I didn't bite. So if you want people to know the story about last night's live feed, you get to tell it. My good friends, Randy and Amanda. And if I forgot anybody, Nick French was here. Andrew was here. Thank you guys for stopping by. If I forget anybody, I am very sorry. I don't mean to do that. Melissa, I thank you for stopping by. So you guys take care. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me and talking some paranormal. And we will see you guys at the next one. Remember to be kind to one another, guys, and peace. See you guys.